If quitting your job to follow your passion sounds like something you're interested in or something that you are currently in the process of doing, this video will be helpful for you. I share my experience, the unfortunate outcome of me quitting my job to follow my passion, and also how ultimately it kind of worked out. I also want to mention that I've just released my transformational meditation series. The link for that is in the description. People seem to have been enjoying them so far, feeling more relaxed, having better sleep, being more productive, feeling more inspired and uplifted. They're guided by my voice. I know a lot of people have been requesting more meditations from me, so check that out. And now let's get into the reality of quitting your job to follow your passion. In the summer of 2018, I left the most secure and stable and comfy job I had ever had. I went down to a beach nearby and I went on a journey of sorts. If you're familiar with the beaches in Vancouver, you might know what I mean. On this journey, I was very aware that ahead of me, there was a blank slate. There was no commitment to any one person or thing, and there was an excitement as now was my opportunity to pursue my passion, to pursue my creative endeavors. I was walking on that beach and I was terrified but simultaneously excited for the potential that lay within that uncertainty. I was just very aware that I had no idea what was up ahead, but I knew that in letting go of my previous lifestyle and the work that I was doing, that I would be able to do what I wanted to do. Now, I didn't really know how to do what I wanted to do as such. Like, I knew I was a creative, artistic, musical person, but I didn't really know how to do that in the context of the world where you make money. On that particular afternoon, my journey came to a close and I had a realization that I don't need any help. I actually had a self-help seminar. My first ever self-help event was happening a few days later, and I thought to myself, I'm just gonna call up and cancel. There's a naivety that comes with the notion of quitting your job and following your passion. The intention of this video is to articulate the pitfalls of this statement, the pitfalls of this notion, so that if you are perhaps in a situation where you're contemplating throwing everything away in order to do something else, maybe you might have new perspective by the end of this video. And honestly, you might actually get to living your dream life faster by not quitting your job and following your passion, because there's a whole load of unforeseen things that happen when you quit your job and follow your passion, and that's what we're going to dive into here. So after my journey on the beach, pretty quickly I came back down to reality and was filled with the usual overwhelm of life, and the uncertainty was not exciting anymore, but rather something to be feared. I embarked on my journey. I went to a yoga center to experience a different walk of life, and that eventually led me to studying yoga and learning to facilitate yoga and meditation and things like this. Now, around that time, I was surrounded by people that had effectively quit their jobs to follow their passion. And there was one common trait between myself and everybody else in that group. It was that we were all pretty broke and directionless. We were wanderers. We were in this limbo stage between leaving something that we thought we hated and trying to find the next thing, but not knowing how to find the next thing in a sustainable way in the context of this world. See, the jobs that people quit to follow their passion have a lot of merit to them because they're providing finances, they're providing structure, and they're providing stability. And the thing about jobs is you don't necessarily need to understand how to generate money, because you just go and do the job and then you get paid money. But there's someone, usually the employer, who has actually come to understand how to generate money, and it's in their generation of money that they have extra money to pay you and to pay me to do the job. But they are making a lot more money and they have a lot more knowledge, which is why they can make a lot more money, and it's why people in jobs don't make as much money. So when we quit our job to follow our passion, yes, we're following our passion in a sense, but with following your passion in a sustainable way that generates income, you also have to learn all of the things associated with following your passion and monetizing it. You see, the job that you quit, behind that was a person who had gone through all of this and learned all of the skills required to generate money, to then pay you. So when I quit my job and was in pursuit of things that I was more passionate about, yes, I might have known how to do the things. I might have known how to sing. I might have known how to guide a meditation, but I didn't know how to turn that into a profitable endeavor, which is what allows one to sustainably follow their passion. So after this stint in Vancouver, I returned home to Ireland, which is where I attempted my first business. So what I did was I decided I was going to teach yoga to people. Now, I wasn't really certain about how to do that, but I knew that obviously I would need like a room to teach in, and then I would need people to come. I didn't understand the nuance of getting people to come to events, because that is the most difficult thing about business, is getting people to pay you for the thing that you can do. See, being able to do something doesn't equate to people paying you to do the thing, because you need another skill set altogether to get people to pay for things. If you quit your job and go to follow your passion, yes, you've freed up time in a sense to do something else, but a job without someone at the top to generate the income to pay for the job to be done is useless. It's just a job being done in exchange for nothing. So I was writing blog posts and I had set up a website, and that was all great because I learned the skills of setting up websites, which now very much stand to me. But I tried to put on retreats, and with paid advertising even, nobody would come, and I didn't understand why nobody was coming. I would put on classes, and I'm not even joking, 80% of my classes nobody came to. And I think one time 2 people came, and then another time there was 1 person. And obviously that's quite awkward, as you can imagine, just teaching 1 person in what's supposed to be a group class. So I had to go through all of this hardship as I was pursuing my passion. And to an extent, that hardship is necessary. And while I don't regret it, I can see that it wasn't necessary to put myself in that position where I had nothing but my passion to support me. So as you can see, in addition to the service that you provide someone, or the product that you provide somebody, you also need all of the other stuff, which is the distribution of it. It's the marketing. Even when I was writing my blog, I knew people wrote blogs and made loads of money, but I had no idea how they made money. And a friend of mine in the bar one time, he said, "That sounds great, but how do you make money from that?" And I didn't know the answer. I literally did not know how you made money from writing a blog. And I didn't make money from writing a blog. And so there I was with no job, and I had a blog, but the blog didn't make any money. So I would get up and I would write for the blog, and then, people would read it and whatever, like a very small amount of people that I shared it with on Facebook or whatever, they would read it and they'd be impressed with it. But like, that didn't matter because I wasn't able to sustain myself. When you quit your job and follow your passion, you often end up in this situation because you quit the job without the realization that there is a gazillion things that have gone into creating the job for you, that have gone into paying you. And those things just take a long time to learn. And you can learn by quitting cold turkey and doing it that way. But what happened for me is I eventually ran out of money. So I was mentally struggling because finances buffer stress, which helps with your mental health. And I didn't need to put myself in that position. I think when we quit our job to follow our passion, when we're talking about that expression, people are moving away from something. So that's the energy and the intention. It's like, I want to get away from my job because I hate it. And now the flip side of this is moving towards something. So when you're moving towards something, you're not necessarily moving away from something, although you are, like on the big scale you are, but when you're moving towards something, you're actually building something. When you're moving away from something, you're leaving something behind, but you're not necessarily building something. So while what you're doing might be demanding and unfulfilling, in leaving it, it doesn't necessarily get you closer to a sustainable position where you don't have to do that in the future. And the alternative is to be where you are, to do the thing that you're doing, and then start moving from that place toward your passion or whatever. And so what that might look like is, while you're in your job, in the evening time, you decide to study copywriting so that you understand how to write persuasively in order to build an audience. Because just in my example, with creating retreats and events and whatnot, the best way to do that is to get people to know about you. And the way to get people to know about you is to answer their questions, to give them value. The way to give value is to write or create content, videos, whatever. And in order to do that, you need to learn the skill of copywriting, of persuasion. So that's something that you can do in your job, in the evenings or whatever, on the weekends, to get you toward your ideal scenario of monetizing something that you're more interested and passionate about. You see, we need to recognize the value in all of these systems and the things that we don't like, that we do anyway. The reason we do them is because there's value in them. And when you acknowledge the value, it makes it a lot easier to be doing that thing, because you recognize, oh, this is actually serving me in a big way. And if I'm to run away from it, I'm actually running away from everything that's serving me. Whereas when you run towards something else, you can maintain some of those things that are serving you, and then simultaneously be building from a pure intention, an intention that is rooted in security rather than the scarcity and insecurity and frustration that comes with just quitting life on a whim and then trying to pack up and move everything. You see, there's no groundedness in that. It's too fast. It's like starting off a relationship hot and fiery, and then all of a sudden you burn out because the fuel was just all taken in moments rather than over a sustained period of time. And yes, it's not as exciting. It might be a little bit more boring, but the best things in life come as a result of slow and steady progress, because that's when our foundation is the strongest. And without a strong foundation, any wind that comes will shake you, maybe even knock you down. So we've distinguished that in order to follow your passion, you don't need to quit your job. In fact, it might be a more favorable option for you to not quit your job at all, and to recognize the ways that you can get closer to monetizing, to following your passion, whatever it is for you, from where you're at. What you really need is flexibility. And of course, this is going to vary from person to person, but I think a lot of people do have the opportunity to unlock more flexibility in their lives, to put more energy toward the things that they want to put it toward. Often, we spend X amount of time doing things that are just not contributing to our goals, or to, they're not actionable steps that are bringing us closer to what we want. Examples are, social media and watching TV shows or whatever, things like that, or sleeping in as well. If you find, like, sometimes I'll be sleeping in like an extra hour, and I don't really need that extra hour, but I'm just a bit lazy and I just lie in bed for like 40 minutes before I get up. That's time that could be used to put towards something. If you're really crunched for time, that could be something that you could look at. Something that's overlooked is the fact that when you have all of this excess time, yeah, you have time, but that doesn't mean you know how to fill it. Freedom comes with a certain responsibility. Most people can't handle the responsibility that comes with freedom, because you've just got a blank slate and you need to act on your own initiative, and you need to hold yourself accountable. There's nobody going to give out to you if you don't do things. If you really hate your job and you find that it's depleting you, and then you let go of the job, then yes, you are going to have more time. But if the cost of having more time is, for example, in my situation, I couldn't afford to rent or whatever, so I was living at home, which was a depleting experience for me in and of itself, because it's just hard to live at home when you're an adult. And so it probably would have been better for me to do some sort of part-time or flexi-time position and live by myself, because ultimately that's kind of what I did end up doing a couple of years back, going out on my own, even though financially, people would say, oh, that's a terrible decision. But for me, I was very aware that I got more value out of having my own independence than I did not paying rent. So some people might see paying rent as a waste of money, whereas I saw staying at home as a waste of money, because I knew that there was more potential for me to make more money if I could be in a different scenario and mindset that was more supportive for me to unleash that creativity and to learn the lessons that I have learned over the years, and to ultimately get to a place where I feel more confident in living my passion, or whatever it is. If that means that you need to do something part-time, dipping in and out of full-time work or whatever it is that suits you, that's fine. This is just the nature of being a self-employed entrepreneurial person, is that you got to ride the ebbs and flows of the bank account going up and down. There's no shame in that, because even if you do end up back in a situation after, say, 2 years of attempting to follow your passion, you end up back in a situation where you're not strictly following your passion, you still have all of the knowledge and the skill set that you've acquired over the journey of following your passion. So it's not wasted time. When we end up back where we started, maybe physically you're back where you started, but you're never actually back where you started, energetically and quantumly and experientially. you have all of that wisdom accumulated, and it's within you. It's in your subconscious. It's in your being. You've had all those connections. You have all of the lessons that have been learned. I was speaking with someone on a one-on-one, and that was their situation. They ended up out and independent, and then all of a sudden found themselves back in the previous scenario. And that's what I did myself when I would travel abroad and find, relative independence. But years later, I was able to reflect on those scenarios and tell stories here on the internet, for example, where I've been able to reach a lot of people, impact a lot of people, make new connections, and create new opportunities for myself, both, relationally and employment related things. It's not like it's one clean, you just quit your job, follow your passion, then you're done. You're passionate and you've done it. You're living your purpose. Your purpose is always changing. Sometimes your purpose is to be learning and not making any money. Sometimes it's to be doing what you need to do to make money, to put food on the table, and then simultaneously learning so that you can one day create a business and perhaps create opportunities for other people. That's a big part of my mission, is to create opportunities for other creative people where they get paid well and they actually get to really feel valued and enjoy the work that they're doing. That's something I'm able to do because I made that step on my own, and then have built up a degree of resources and connections that I can help other people get involved in that too. And I'm doing that at a small scale right now, but I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the mission. It's to keep on creating and to build this thing out. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's happening day by day, moment by moment, thought by thought, video by video, action by action, whatever. It doesn't need to be a drastic upheaval. It doesn't need to be crazy, sexy. Oh my God, did you see what he just did? It could be, but that's not really in your control. Those random, moments of luck and opportunity, they can come, but we can't really orchestrate those. But we can orchestrate, to a degree, our slow progress. I hope that was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this video, like it, comment on it, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to give a shout out to my sound experience meditations there in the description. You can go check out those. That's my digital offering. And there's a newsletter. You can sign up, click the link in the description. Have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself. And I hope you are feeling a little bit more at ease than you were at the beginning of this video. Cheers.